Boa noite a todos. Sejam bem-vindos à Fundação Champalimaud. Welcome everyone, and welcome to Mind Invaders. This is the 8th event of the R series, and my name is Ricardo Zacarias, and I'm a neuroscience student here at the Champalimaud Foundation. Now, we are here to talk about games and playing games. So I think that it's more than appropriate if we start the night by playing a little game. It will be a very simple game, and it's called Is It Play or Not? All right? So it's very simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures, and I want you to say out loud yes or no if you think that what you are seeing in the picture is play or not. Okay? Don't think too much about it. Just give me an answer. Okay? Are you ready? Are you ready? Yes! Awesome. All right. Is it play?
Yes. Yes. No. No. Yes. Yes. No.
All right, settle down. Let's move on.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right. So that last one didn't count, but it's okay. So, I mean, it's not so easy, right? I mean, there are so many different ways to play, and our culture has evolved in such a way that it has changed the meaning of some games. And so the concept of play has become a little hard to define. And however, I think that there are some fundamental features of play that we can identify by ourselves. So for example, playing is fun, right? It has to be. Even if he doesn't show it in his face, I'm sure he's having a good time. Next, also, so playing is also spontaneous and free. Nobody's forcing you to play. It's something that you feel like doing, so you do it. And finally, play is driven by intrinsic motivation. What this means is that you don't care about the result of your actions, but what you want is to do it, right? You're motivated to do the action and not the outcome. So when you look at all these things together, sure, it sounds like a lot of fun, but it sounds like a very unproductive behavior. I mean, in the language of evolution, it doesn't make much sense. It's not like you're bringing back home any food, and you might even injure yourself doing this. So why do we do it? Why is it that animals, and humans for that matter, invest so much time and energy doing a behavior that has no tangible benefit? Well, maybe we'll learn something about that tonight. But first, I want to tell you a little story. So, when I was a kid, I loved playing with Legos. I mean, who didn't, right? And the one thing that I remember about Legos is that it had also its own little ritual. You would go to your closet, open your closet, you would pick up your bucket of Legos. Yes, exactly. Then you would decide where you wanted to settle down for play, and then you just splash the whole thing on the floor, right? You're making a big mess. But now when I think back about playing Legos, one of the first things that I remember is that I would actually spend half of the time, maybe even more, looking around that mess for that specific piece that I really, really wanted for my construction. So it was more time searching around here for pieces than actually putting them together. Now, that sounds incredibly frustrating. But what I also remember is that after an hour or so of hard work around here, anybody could come up to you and say, hey, have you seen one of these? And you'll be like, yeah, sure. It was somewhere around that general area. It was next to a big rocket-like piece. And, oh, there it is. Oh, sorry. There it is. So you had now become the master of your Lego disaster, right? And my question is, does this sound like a non-productive behavior? Or was I learning something? Was I learning how to navigate somehow using landmarks? Or was I exercising memory? These are all interesting questions, but nobody really knows for sure. What I did learn very fast was to always play Legos with my shoes on. Because if you've ever stepped on a Lego, you know the agony. So, but I think that in the end, the complex and dynamic nature of play is captured beautifully by the following quote. To play is to explore, to discover, and to experiment. Playing helps children develop ideas and gain experience. It gives them a wealth of knowledge and information about the world in which they live and about themselves. So to play is also to learn. Now, I like that. I really like that, but maybe I'm a little biased. So could it be that playing is simply learning by having fun? It's a nice thought, right? I would like to think that evolution somehow came up with a way to make our brains explode with joy and happiness while we're learning the foundations that we need to become functional, intelligent, and social individuals. Now, like I said, that's a nice thought, but I want to talk about something different now. Now, raise your hands if you played with Legos last week. Ah. Now, raise your hands if you played a card game with your friends last week. Not bad, not bad. Now, raise your hands if you played a video game last week. That's, that's right, that's much better. And so the thing is that video games have now invaded the playground, right? that looks a little dramatic, but it's true. I mean, let's look at, for example, World of Warcraft. Some of you may have heard of this game that is an online role-playing game, and it has 12 million paid subscriptions. This means that 12 million people pay a certain amount of money each month just to play. And you don't need to go that far. How about Farmville? I'm sure you've all heard about Farmville in some way or another. And Farmville at some point had more than 80 million players. That's just crazy, right? And my question is, why? Why are so many people playing Farmville and World of Warcraft, for example? So, is it just because it's super fun to play video games? Or perhaps you just want a challenging game, the one that makes you really happy after you finish a level. Perhaps you just want to escape and be someone else for a while. Or maybe you just take simple pleasure in seeing the key, in seeing the small pieces fitting together nicely. Now, the thing is, a lot of video games are evolving fast, and they have found ways to tap into our brains, and more people are playing video games every day. So I think this begs the questions. Are video games changing our brains or not? I mean, we are having fun while doing it, so are we learning something from video games? Who knows? But perhaps we will learn something tonight. And also very important is there something that we can take from video games and put in other aspects of life? Because if people can spend hours playing Farmville, I'm sure that you can take something away from that and use it in other aspects of life so that to keep people engaged and interested in what they're doing. But now I would like to end by sharing a thought by a famous evolutionary biologist called Stephen Jay Gould. So you see, this guy, he supported the idea that us humans evolved by a process called Neoteny. Now, Neoteny is a fancy word, but it's an easy concept. Now, okay, let me ask you a question. Look around you. Look to the people around you. Do the people in this room look more like chimpanzee number 1 or chimpanzee number 2? Come on. One. Of course, one, right? You have the chin back, same body proportions. And that's the basic idea of neoteny. It's the idea that there is a gradual slowing down of the physiological development of an organism, such that, for example, when it reaches sexual maturity, you still look like a baby. And this process over the course of evolution leads to infant features prolonging into adulthood. So basically, we look like baby chimps. Now, this was Stephen Jay Gould's argument. Flexibility is the hallmark of human evolution. If humans evolved, as I believe, by neoteny, then we are, in a more than metaphorical sense, permanent children. We retain not only the anatomical stamp of childhood, but its mental flexibility as well. Humans are learning animals. And so you see, our brains are built to play. Thank you for listening.